This is the place where Europe and Asia truly meet, a land with a history of civilizations spanning tens of thousands of years. Istanbul, formerly known as Constantinople, has indeed been the capital of three major empires in history: the Roman Empire, the Byzantine Empire, and the Ottoman Empire. This unique distinction has given the city a remarkably diverse and multi-layered cultural heritage. Istanbul was founded by Constantine the Great, known historically as Emperor Constantine, in 330 AD, with the intention to boost its population and significance. It is noted that between 324 and 326 AD, he significantly increased the population of Istanbul from about 1,500 to 50,000 people in just 2 years. This was accomplished by transferring people from various parts of the world to the city. This rapid population growth was part of his efforts to establish Istanbul as a new imperial capital, which played a crucial role in the development and prominence of the city. Today, Istanbul has a population of about 15 million people. For 1,800 years, Istanbul has been a hub of diverse cultures and religions, much longer than cities like New York or London, which became multicultural much more recently. One interesting fact about Istanbul is that it is a very green city and not nearly as polluted as I expected, despite having over 15 million people. The streets are wide, and there are a lot of trees and beautiful parks. In fact, Istanbul's level of greenery and lower pollution levels are comparable to those of other large cities like London, Paris, and Madrid, despite Istanbul having a considerably larger population. Moreover, Istanbul Airport, which hosts around 65 million passengers annually, is one of the world's largest airports in terms of passenger traffic. The busiest airport in the world is the Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport in the United States, which hosted 93.7 million passengers in 2023. Geographically, Istanbul is quite impressive, with the Bosporus Strait connecting the Black Sea to the Marmaray. There are also small islands near the coast of Istanbul, perfect for weekend visits. The public transportation system is comprehensive, with a rapidly expanding metro, buses, minibuses, and taxi vans. If you have an Istanbul card, you can access all these transportation options in Istanbul, including ferries. The ferry travel in Istanbul not only serves as a means of transportation, but also creates a touristic atmosphere. Some people don't sit in their seats during ferry trips. Instead, they watch the birds flying in the air and the sea, and they even throw simit, a Turkish bread, to them. This way, Istanbul residents relieve stress and fill their lungs with plenty of fresh air. Istanbul is like living in Paris and Cairo at the same time, with the best and worst of both Western and Middle Eastern cultures. Napoleon once said, "If the world was one country, Istanbul would be its capital." There are bars and nightclubs in abundance, and people dress and behave like Westerners for the most part. Men are obsessed with football, and women with shopping. Women are not quite as liberated as in the West, but more so than in most parts of the Middle East. Dating is perfectly normal. At the same time, you have the mosques and the calls to prayer 5 times a day. Istanbul is fairly safe, and quite safer to walk around at night compared to most Western cities, as there are fewer people causing trouble and looking for a punch-up. However, it can be risky for women to walk around on their own, particularly in terms of handbag snatching, which is common. But generally, it's easy to forget that you're in a foreign country after spending some time here. It's important to note that Istanbul's population is not only comprised of Turks. The city is now thoroughly saturated with foreign immigrants, surpassing its capacity as a city. Many Turks hope to see more tourists, rather than more foreign settlers. For instance, if you travel from the European side to the Asian side, you can better understand how many people with Middle Eastern origins Istanbul accommodates. This is evident not only from their physical appearance, but also from their broken Turkish. Turkish people, although not patient in traffic, are patient in their way of life. They are persistent and hard-working, with many running their own businesses. Despite economic challenges, many Turks wake up early each morning, open their shops, and work hard to sell their products. While most shops in Istanbul are related to food and beverages, there are also many gift shops, carpet stores, and clothing shops. However, like many places around the world, most shops in Istanbul are closed on Sundays, and the narrow streets are usually empty. Due to the high cost of petrol and traffic problems in Istanbul, people typically commute to work using the metro and municipal buses. Moreover, cars in Turkey are quite expensive compared to other parts of Europe. For instance, while in Europe you can buy a new luxury car for $50,000, whereas in Turkey, a similar car starts from at least $100,000. When purchasing a car in Turkey, you must also pay taxes equal to the value of the car. Turks have another characteristic that you can clearly observe in Istanbul. Out of every 10 adults you stop on the street, 8 of them probably smoke. In Turkey and Istanbul, people sometimes start smoking before the age of 18 and find it difficult to quit smoking until old age. Turks are characteristically adaptable people. If you are a foreigner, Turks generally do not interfere with your lifestyle in Istanbul. However, there are certain values that they are sensitive about, and you must absolutely respect them. One of these values is respect for Islam and Muslims. If you come to this country from abroad and show disrespect for their values, you probably won't stay there too long. Therefore, you must be considerate towards Islam. For instance, while Turkey as a whole is not overly religious, the population is strongly connected to their faith. About 99% of the country's population identifies as Muslim. In Turkey, people have a deep admiration for their historical leaders, such as Fatih Sultan Mehmet and the founder of the Republic of Turkey, Mustafa Kemal Atatürk. They show great respect for these figures and for Atatürk in particular, who is considered the founder of the current republic. In fact, it is illegal to insult Atatürk's legacy, and doing so can lead to serious consequences, regardless of your age. This is why you will see many statues of Mustafa Kemal Atatürk in Turkey, and engaging in disrespectful behavior in front of these statues can result in arrest. This deep respect and admiration for national heroes and founders is not unique to Turkey, of course. Many countries have similar attitudes towards their most influential historical figures. However, the extent to which it is codified into law in Turkey, with the potential for serious legal consequences for any perceived disrespect, is quite remarkable. Therefore, we can conclude that Turks are deeply religious and patriotic. If you adhere to their customs, you will be warmly welcomed. On the other hand, in Turkey and especially in Istanbul, there is always admiration for a rich and luxurious lifestyle. Brands are highly valued here. The desire for a luxurious lifestyle and the ability to show off wealth is a significant aspect of Turkish society. From a young age, people here admire the lives of the wealthy, including their high-end fashion brands, luxurious cars, and opulent homes. The status and prestige linked to being able to afford and display these symbols of wealth are greatly valued in Turkish culture. When it comes to drinking, the government discourages alcohol consumption by imposing high taxes on alcoholic beverages, making them very expensive. This policy aims to reduce alcohol use among the public. As a result, many people cannot afford to buy alcohol. However, although Islam forbids drinking alcohol, it is quite common in Turkey, especially in the more secular, Western, and tourist coastal regions. Those who are addicted often make their own homemade drinks to continue their habit. Regarding food, Istanbul offers a wide range of tastes from all over Turkey. The culinary traditions inherited from the Ottoman Empire have given the Turks a strong sense of their own cuisine. This cross-pollination led to the development of iconic food like kebabs, dolma, baklava, and Turkish coffee. So they don't need to look elsewhere for inspiration. Those who visit Istanbul to try Turkish dishes are never disappointed, as Turkish cuisine is consistently ranked among the world's best. For instance, it is common for people to enjoy a lavish, spread-style breakfast at restaurants on weekends. A large table is filled with a variety of foods, and they spend a good part of their day enjoying a leisurely breakfast with their loved ones. If there's one thing that attracts tourists to Istanbul the most, it's undoubtedly Hagia Sophia and the Blue Mosque. In the past, Hagia Sophia used to be a museum, but it has been reopened as a mosque in recent years. The Blue Mosque is a grand structure with 6 minarets. These two landmarks are situated facing each other, and the space between them has been converted into a square called Sultanahmet Square, which is a must-see for tourists in Istanbul. This area is well maintained and clean, reflecting the Turkish desire to present their most valuable areas in the best possible way to visitors from outside. In Istanbul, one thing is common for everyone. People are very friendly to foreigners and even smile when they see a camera. They enjoy helping you, chatting with you, and learning where you're from. Almost every shop has someone drinking tea outside, and offering you tea makes them happy. Afterwards, they would want to find a common ground with you and continue the conversation on that topic. However, if you are a refugee from places like Syria, Afghanistan, or Pakistan, they might not show similar attitudes towards you. As seen in the news, many Turks express their dissatisfaction with the large number of refugees currently in the country. Istanbul is one of the leading cities in this regard, and the shopkeepers there can no longer tolerate more refugees. Turks, in general, do not like people who directly or indirectly harm their homeland, regardless of their country of origin. Istanbul is facing a long-term water problem, with refugees sharing the city's water sources with locals. Many of these refugees receive support from the state, but some also compete with locals for jobs by working for lower wages. This has led to disturbances in public order in certain areas and frequent problems in landlord-tenant situations. Istanbul and Turkey, in general, are shouldering a significant part of the world's refugee crisis. As a result, the people of Istanbul can be prejudiced and unwelcoming towards those who are not tourists and have refugee status. This situation has been ongoing for the past 13 years, and there are currently no concrete plans for the permanent return of these refugees. Moreover, Turkey is facing a significant inflation problem, with the prices of products increasing by more than 100% yearly. Salary increases, if any, are far below the rate of inflation, leading to heightened stress levels among the people. Shop owners struggle to keep up with high rents and taxes, while consumers face challenges in accessing products. The current minimum wage in Turkey is around $570 per month, making it one of the lowest in the world. As salaries in Turkey rarely outpace inflation, people's purchasing power remains stagnant or declines. For instance, in affluent neighborhoods and districts in Istanbul, rents can easily surpass 20,000 Turkish lira, which is over $700. Given that half of the population works for minimum wage, many people in this city find it challenging to make ends meet. This brings us to the end of the video. See you in the next one. Goodbye.